But it's turned a little bit. Hey, what's happening, everybody? How's it going? It's Wednesday. It's hump day. According to Julius, it's hump day. Everybody knows that, right? I'm your host, Mikey Wine here. It's aka Gundemonium Works, and we are live for part number 6 of the Metal Gear Rex. Yeah, Metal Gear Rex build. And this is a 1/100 scale kit. We're going to be doing some weathering, and I'm going to talk about chipping, a little bit of chipping, and then some streaking effects kind of things using some Tamiya weathering master stuff. So anyway, how's it going, everybody? Julius, how you going? How's it going? Good to see you as always. And you're the first one in tonight, or at least the first one hopping in on the chat. Got a few people. Gosh, my camera is doing this thing where it likes to follow me again. It's kind of trippy. I don't know why it's been doing this lately. It's like, I know it's voice activated, so sometimes you say certain things and it takes over. So I guess that's okay that it's kind of cruising around following my face. But when I go to the down views, it'll stop doing that. So anyway, I started weathering this week, and I got a few pieces done. So I can talk. I'll show you the differences between what's already been done and what's not, and so what it looks like before and after kind of thing. What's up, Nick? How's it going? Hey, peeps. Nick's in the house. So let's go down to, we'll take the down look here, and we'll see everything here. So got the legs here, torso, back, sensor array, and the shields, and then the main gun here. So what I've already finished, I finished one leg. I've got another one here that is not, it's only got the chipping done to it, and I'll show you that here in a second. But the gun's been done, the sensor, and the shields that mount to the sides of the legs, and I'll get a close-up here in a second. I also glued tried to anyway. They're very hard to glue these things, but the doors here for these missile bay doors, I've got them kind of splaying open like they would open in a sequence. So I'll do a close-up of that here in a sec too. Anyway, what's Giovanni's in the house? How's it going, Giovanni? Good to see you. Hello, everyone. Today, I will catch the live stream. Last week, people asked about, let me put this on screen here. Last week, people asked about G-Paints. I wouldn't recommend that paint. That paint is very bad experience. G-Paints, is it? You're talking about, who makes G-Paints? We're not talking about Mr. Color, are we? We're talking about something else. But anyway, fill us in on, Giovanni, fill us in on what G-Paints is. And we'll go from there. Let's see. What's Julius doing? He's moving his backlog out of the closet so the electrician can access the attic. Well, damn. Hopefully that's not a too arduous task. Tyler's in the house. How's it going, Tyler? Yo, yo, yo. Tyler says, yo. How's it going, man? So, all right. Let's get a little closer here. And we'll start showing off some of these pieces. So, that's down. All right, we're going to go here. There we go. Zoom in. All right. So here's the backpack, and you see how those doors are opening in sequence. No, it's made with G Studios in Malaysia, I think. Oh, okay. No, not even heard of it. Maybe I'd recognize a bottle or something like that if I looked at it, but never used it. But good heads up there for everybody that's maybe not wondering. I guess don't buy G-Paints. They're not very good. So anyway, here's the backpack portion, panel lined and flat coated with these doors opening kind of in a sequence. So they're splaying open as they open. I may do the same with the front of the legs, but I'm not certain. The doors are kind of hard to open. I've actually got them open now while I was doing the weathering part of it, but I may shut them closed or whatever. So anyway, at this scale, chipping is going to be rather small. I mean, almost not visible because of just the sheer size. I mean, if you look at these characters here, these figures are in 1/100 scale, so they're only about a ½ inch tall, if that. And so imagine large rock chips or whatever would be almost, you wouldn't be able to see them very easily. So I've done chipping to a very minimum here, and I'm going to bring this up so we can see this maybe a little closer. Try to get a better view. So you can see some chipping on the lower extremities areas and on the shields, and right where the feet would be closest to the ground. There are some chips, and I just did those in Mr. Color Flat Black, number 33, and just hand brushed a few chips on there. I thought about doing them in a brownish color, so kind of like a primer color, but I figured at this scale, you're not really going to see all that much anyway. So basically, there's only a few areas around that might be exposed to direct contact with rock chips and things like that that I put some chipping on, like the front of the leg here, the foot here, the shield, inside and out. And then I've got these doors kind of open at the moment, but I don't know if I'm going to keep those open or not. I might. We'll see how it goes. I tried gluing them, but they still move because it's just there's such a little tiny peg that holds them in place. It's kind of hard to see. It's another YouTuber. Who's that? Oh, G Studios in Malaysia. Oh, another YouTuber makes their own paint, or they're selling their own paints called G Studios. Huh. Interesting. Speaking of YouTubers and things like that, it's amazing how this is. I just talked about this today. It's amazing how you start a channel like this and you get any kind of minimal success, whether it's numbers, followers, blah, 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 subscriptions, whatever. All of a sudden, it just seems like trolls just, hey, what's up, Angel? Trolls just start coming out of the network and coming out of the woodwork and trying to get your money. Now, I'm not running a business here. I'm not making money at this. I mean, yeah, that would be great. And I think ultimately the end game would be to turn this into some kind of retirement plan. That would be awesome, right? But as it is, I'm still working. I'm not trying to make any money in this, but there's all these people that want to try to scam you and try to get your money, try to get you to, I can boost your page and I can do all these things for X amount of dollars, and I'm just tired of it. I had to block somebody today because I was just getting endless messages on Instagram, constantly trying to, I think it was Instagram. Yeah, it was my Instagram page. Just saying, oh, I love your videos and everything. I love your channel, but notice they never subscribe to my channel either. It's like, that's funny how you should say that. And the accounts are brand new. It's just a bunch of red flags. And so I'm just not falling for it. Show me the money. Right. So anyway, let's get back to this. So did some minimal chipping, and then the most is going to be finished up with the Tamiya Weathering Master Set D, which has oil stain on it. It's not an oil stain like you'd think. It's not glossy. There is a soot one in the in set B, but soot's a little too dark. So the oil stain kind of gives it a brownish, a more of a dirtier type look to it, and that's what I was trying to do. So I think it came out pretty good as far as that is. So I might do a little bit more on these little foot spikes here, but I'll get to that. I'll do something else and maybe a metallic color on that. So here is the other leg, and this one, you can see no streaking at all. So you still see the chipping here around the foot, and then in various little areas around that would, except some rock chips, but what's Julie saying? Anyone watch Gundam Requiem for me? Oh, yes, absolutely. I watched the whole thing. I binged it pretty much. I didn't watch it all in one sitting. I had to finish some of it at work at lunch on my lunch break. But I watched the whole thing. It was entertaining. I mean, there's a lot of people bashing on it about the quality of the imaging and the characters and stuff, and just the way it looked. And it's all right. You go into it with lower your expectations. It was, for its entertainment value, it was fun to watch. It was all right. We'll see what happens with Netflix now, because they've kind of opened the door. We'll see what maybe the next project will be. But that's my answer to that. Julius. I'll put that on screen for everybody. Anybody else want to chime in with their thoughts on it? That's cool too. So I'm going to continue working on this one tonight, on this leg. I'll go and show off these other pieces that are done. So here is the sensor array. There is a little bit of chipping on the front of that as well. A couple little rock chips here and there. Not a lot, because this is higher up off the ground. There's not going to be as many, unless there's, building debris or something flying into this thing. There's not going to be a ton of chipping on it. I did a little bit. I may add a little more. And the nice thing about the flat black paint is that I can add that at any time. I can go back and add a few chips here and there if I want to. So that's that. And then the main gun here. This is hard to get the whole thing in frame, but I think it came out pretty nice. I like the way I'm using that weathering master to kind of darken up the panel lines a little bit, fade them a little bit more. Nick says, watched it. It was good. I expected it to be better. Well, I expected it to be longer. I thought the thing that kind of caught me at first was that the episodes were kind of short, 30 minutes, and then you're done. It's easy to sit down and just smash through the whole thing. But yeah, let's see. I think I'm going to adjust here because I'm going to be working a little bit closer. So I'm going to, let's see. Oh, that's the other direction. I want to go this way, right about. One more click on it. There we go. Update that position. There we go. Now we're in frame. So, yeah, I just wish the episodes were a little longer. It just seemed like it could have been. It was easy just to sit down and by the time you think about it, all of a sudden you're through about 4 episodes, going, wow, we're all the time just smash through it. So, as I said earlier, I'm using Tamiya Weathering Master kit. This is the Pastel kit number or letter D, which has burnt blue, burnt red, and oil stain. I'm not using the burnt colors, just the oil stain. So I'm going to grab I'm going to get a new applicator here. This one's getting a little bit beat up. Yeah, let me grab one of those real quick. I've got another bin here with extra, just basic makeup, two-sided makeup applicators, essentially. I'll just put a couple of those down. Pop those back. All right. Hey, what's up, Michael? Is that, how do you say the last name? Is that Morgan? Mogan? Not sure how to say that. Good to see you too, man. And Big Ton Cater coming to us from Twitch. How you doing? Good to see you too. This is not a paid endorsement. And let's see, what is Giovanni saying here? This is not a paint endorsement. I'm not the best model builder, but if anyone wants to try a different paint, you should try Fisher's paint. Okay. No, that's interesting. Not heard of them either. Or Finisher's paints. I have heard of Finisher's paints. I've heard they're decent. They made Super Shell White 2 is amazing. That's good. That's good. Big Ton Cater. Is it? Am I saying that right too? Big Ton Cater? All right. It's like Vaughn. Oh, okay. So I'm still not sure if I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name, Michael. I'm sorry. It's an unusual spelling, and I'm sorry if I'm making it wrong. Anyway, let's get to doing some. So we'll start on the top, and any kind of this streaking effect. Of course, I'm simulating like rain effects, anything coming down, kind of accenting the panel lines as well as part of that process. But then also the edging, so you'll see how it goes as we continue on here. What am I making? This is a Metal Gear Rex, and let's see if I can. It's a 1/100 scale from Kotobukiya. Let me grab the box top here. I'll try to bring it into frame if I can just manage to get my hands on it. There we go. So yes, here it is, Metal Gear Rex. That's the kit there from the Metal Gear Solid games and Metal Gear series. I'm going to do a figure. I will probably do the. I think this is Liquid Snake. I think this one was called. I'm not sure, but I will do this one on the end. He's holding the little rocket launcher here, so that's probably going to be the only thing. One thing I am going to do is build a separate base, a different base. The one that came with it is just barely big enough to hold this kit. So I'm waiting for some more evergreen to come in. But I basically took a sheet that I had and I cut it was 8 inches wide by 20 inches or so long. So I just cut it into an 8-inch square. And so I'm going to build a frame on this and have an actual nicer base, a bigger base that I think is still small enough that, hang on a second, what is this? No, I did not. Good Lord. Did I fall in my chair again? No, I didn't. I just dropped something on the floor. So, yeah, I'm going to build a better base. And that way, when I run the wires from this out the bottom, I can put the power supply underneath and literally not worry about the battery or anything like that. So, I'm part of Washington State Gun Club on Facebook. It was a Galaxy hobby. Oh, well, that's cool. Then I should know you. I'm sorry if I don't remember everybody. It's been a while since Galaxy closed, so I apologize. But yeah, I love that store. I wish they were still in business. It's too bad they had to shut down because of the owner of the complex. So first thing I'm going to do is just basically go over the edges, the hard edges, and then I'm using the other applicator, the other side of it, to kind of soften some of those lines. But I like going over the edges of it just to darken them up. It kind of gives I'm going to move over a little bit here. Gives a little bit more accent to those. So as I'm rubbing this back and forth, it's just going to kind of highlight those areas a bit darker. And then I'll use the edge and go across my panel lines here. And that way I can really make these kind of pop a little bit more. And one of the nice things about these, if you do make a mistake or you put too much on or something like that, you can go back with a little bit of enamel thinner. It won't hurt your lacquer, flat my flat coat at all, and you can go back and actually I take the odorless enamel thinner from AK on a cotton swab, and it will take it right off. You can start over if you need to. If you do end up going a little heavy or something like that. Let's see. It says you're a canvas guy. Oh, so are you like an artist? You're talking about like painter? I'm talking to Big Ton Cater, one name. It's kind of hard to say. No worries, man. It's just good that you're a YouTuber. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here. I really do. I appreciate everybody that hangs out. I do this every Wednesday. Try to anyway. Speaking of that, next week I will not be here on Wednesday. I'm going to try to do the show on Tuesday, just because I will be unavailable on Wednesday, and without going into the gory details about it. Oh my goodness. California trying to call me. I know that's a spam call. If it's that important, you can leave me a message, and they won't. It's all that bots calling me. Yeah, so if you're a hacker and you're trying to get my money, just know I'm not going to fall for your garbage. You guys you message me and you don't answer the questions I'm asking because I know it's a bot I'm talking to, and a lot of times I'll say, okay, what can I do for you? What do you want from me? What do you want? Oh, I just like talking to you. Whatever, dude. Not interested. So I've had 2 this week. 2 ring of evil. You know, one guy, like I said, he didn't even follow he didn't even subscribe to the page. So if you're that excited about my videos, how come you didn't just subscribe to my page? That'd be the first thing you'd do. Make sure you hit that like button. Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Yes, make sure you hit that like button. And if you really want to know when I'm on all the time, just click that little bell icon. That's the one that reminds you, will tell you every time I go live, which is, like I said, every Wednesday. I try to do it once a week, and then followed up through the rest of the week with photos and updates that way. I find myself, I have to remember to add photos and stuff like that, because I do these live streams and then I forget to actually go on and take pictures and post photos of it too. So still got to keep reminding myself to do the extra step and just put some photos up for everybody that's not necessarily getting the live stream. So anywhere there's a rock chip that I put on here, I did some chipping, I will add I will try to add a little bit of this stringing effect to that, like simulating some kind of a rust or something like that coming down. I separated the top half and the bottom half of the leg here because I'm going to do some put some of this weathering pastels on the bottom here, and then I'll be able to put everything together. I'll do the top of this piece here as well, and then stick them back together and make sure they look nice and uniform. You're a painter. Nice. I don't think I've ever had anybody specifically come on here as a painter. That's cool. I mean, I did take art when I was in high school, but I was one of those kids that was, I mean, we didn't know what ADHD was when we were kids. We were probably undiagnosed, and nowadays it's a lot more. Information is a lot more accessible, so like that. But back when we were in school, basically what I'm trying to get at is I'm a pretty good artist myself, I will say, but I tended to be a little lazy and ended up blowing a scholarship when I was in high school because I was just kind of not finishing a project I needed to finish, and I just let it go. I sabotaged myself basically. I had it right in the palm of my hand. I could have had a free ride through college as an artist, but just kind of blew it at the time. It's too bad because I really do. I was doing Japanese animation. I was really into that especially when Macross hit the States in the 80s, and that was my inspiration. I did a lot of that style. Not so much painting, but more the illustrating artwork, kind of drawing stuff. I'm making a work in progress art gallery. Very cool. I'm interested to see that. That'd be nice. Pretty sure you just put my kid to sleep. Are you talking to me, Nick? Well, that's a newborn, so I'm not going to take offense to that. If you're talking about the baby, good. I'm glad I could help. But if you're not, you know what? Slap that kid. Wake him back up. He's supposed to be paying attention. All right, so I'm going to do this bottom half here. I got to fold this piece back in, but I've just opened everything up so I can do the weathering part, and then I will close it back up again. I'm just kind of highlighting these panel lines a little bit as I'm working this pastel on here. It will kind of soften up and just darken those lines up just to make them look yeah, you. Well, like I said, Nick, you're talking about the baby, then good. I'm glad I could help. All right, I got to change the angle of those lines a bit because this is going to be when this is closed. There we go. So now I can go in line. When this is sitting straight, this is pretty much horizontal, this top line. So that would be my reference for these streaks, because obviously gravity is going to go straight down. Things aren't going to go at an angle. So it's what you got to think about when you're doing these lines. When this piece goes on the bottom, now you can see they're going to be kind of at an angle on this lower piece because it's at a diagonal. It's almost at a 45-degree angle. So, and then this sits pretty well flat. So this top half will be straight down with these lines, and then the bottom half will be at an angle. It's something to think about when you're doing this kind of weathering, just to make sure that the streaking effects are uniform direction based on gravity, and especially if to make it look like rain streaking, stuff like that, because this is pretty much like a walking tank. So there's going to be quite a bit of rain streaking on it and grime and things like that. So as long as you're going in the same direction, everything will look as it should. But you have to establish those angles before you get started. Otherwise, if you don't, then you end up going the wrong direction, and then you have to try to redo it. But like I said, you can remove it if it does. You do make a mistake, it's okay. You can go back and just take a cotton swab with some odorless, like enamel thinner or something like that, and it'll take this stuff right off. Now this is best applied too on a flat coat. So when I did all the panel lining, everything was glossed. Went back over and did my final coats of flat, and now we're going here because now there's a little bit of grip because this isn't a perfectly smooth finish. So the grip will help this, these pastels come off of this applicator. Actually, I'm going to open this back up real quick. A little bit to do in here. And that way the stuff won't, it also won't rub off this way either when it's put onto a flat surface. It's not going to rub off as easily, I should say. So just waiting to see if anybody else pops in. We got 9 people watching right now. Whoever else came in. Anybody else got a project they're working on other than Big Ton? It looks like he's working on his gallery. Anybody else got a I'm going to carefully do these open doors here. I'm just getting some streaking there, because it looks kind of nice with that. Almost looks, those like rain streaking that would come off of the armor. That's what I'm going for. I did pre-shade this when I painted it, so there's a little bit of that coloration on all these edges anyway, especially the panel line areas. But this, by adding this extra element of these pastels, it kind of helps highlight those edges a little bit. So it just depends. You don't want to go too deep, too heavy on it, so it's otherwise it just looks over weathered. I'm trying to avoid that, but all right. So I think that's where we're good there. A plain still. Oh yeah, that's right. You got your. It's like your kind of like your stubby one, huh? Isn't it? If I remember right. I hope I remember that right. Almost done with this top half here. And because this is, I mean, this is almost flat. Like there's not going to be a lot of runoff on the top here, but there will be some front to back, wind and things like that. So I'm trying to think of how to, if I do any kind of streaking on the top there, what direction those would go. And the more you rub these on, the more, the darker it gets. So sometimes you'll see me in one area just kind of almost just repeatedly hitting one area. It's because I'm trying to darken up that corner or that line. All right, I think I'm good with this half. Do a little bit on this white area here on both sides. I might actually have to do the same on this one, the first one, because I don't think I did anything on the white there, so it looks a little too clean. Just give it a quick. There we go. Okay, now I'm ready to start the bottom half. Now, what I was talking about earlier, so when this thing sits on the ground, let's see here. So if this is your flat plane, you can see that basically the streaking is going to go at this in this direction and follow gravity. So instead of going straight down, I am going to highlight these lines, but when I'm doing the extra streaking effects, it's going to go at an angle this way. I'll demonstrate that here in a sec. All right, I'll just put this up here. That way I can work down here. So I'm going to start with those lines first. This is the biggest thing to do. And I can also open this up a little bit, even though I'm probably going to keep it at around, I don't know, right, I would say here. I want to see those pistons in there a little bit, but not have too much of this leg exposed. It doesn't need to be that tall, but it will sit nice and sturdy. It can actually stand on its own without the stand, but I am going to incorporate the stand just to give it that extra stability later on. I'll separate this a little bit. All right, I'm going to do what I just talked about. I got a little bit too much there, so I'm going to take. This is AK odorless enamel thinner. It's not White Spirit. I'm sure it's very similar, but it's not. It is enamel thinner. And I'm just going to take a little tiny bit in a Q-tip here and very quickly just going to go over and scrub that off. And it will take a majority of it off. There might be a tiny bit of a shadow there, and that's okay because it's still a nice, kind of a shadow effect anyway. But that will will drop nicely, and then I can redo my line there. And it is an ammo thinner that evaporates fairly quickly. So once we're done, I can go back over, and after I wait a few seconds or just for it to evaporate, then I can just go back over it. Okay, so for instance, like we got the panel line that's going straight down, or it's at an angle by the way the foot lies. So my streaking effect is going to go across from this, like this piece here, it's going to go kind of across in this direction here. And these are chips that I put on, the edges here. I did some chipping. So if I put this foot down and show you the angle, these are going straight down just by the angle of the foot. Okay. So we got more here. We got another one of those little buckle type things. I'm going to shut this up a little bit. So it's a little, because when you fully extend it, it gets a little wobbly. So I'm just going to pop that back in just so I can make sure these are all straight. Because every time I was trying to apply it, it was kind of moving around on me a little bit. So anyway, anybody else got anything interesting going on in their lives? Angel did some fishing today. It was looked like fun. We'll say it's getting a little. People are getting a little nervous at work. There's been some recent layoffs. I tell you, the Boeing strike has taken its toll on our business. A lot of our customers are Boeing employees, apparently. So they're on strike. They're not spending money, and now the dealership is starting to thin the herd a little bit. So it's unfortunate for those folks that let go yesterday and today. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Hopefully none of us are on the chopping block either. Although, I'm pretty confident that we will be fine because skilled labor groups usually get left alone when stuff like this happens, except for maybe a few of the newer people or something, something like that, one or two bodies. But usually they start cutting redundant positions first, and that seems to be what's happening, unfortunately. All right, so I'm going to go with the same trend here. I'm trying to make sure these angles are all the same. So if I set this up and take a look at it, you can see my lines are all going in the same direction. That's what I'm trying to do. But I still have some of these panel lines that are going to be straight lines, straight lines to the piece, but not the angle that we're doing that streaking in. It's almost the same angle as this panel line here. Almost, not quite. But every so often I'll set the piece down so I can see, make sure my angles are good before I continue. You won't see a lot of this because this is covered up by the top leg piece. This piece goes on here, so a lot of this is not going to be seen, but I still want my effects to come out from underneath it, so the parts that are exposed are still going to highlight those areas. And truth be told, it's actually the top piece is narrower than this, so you will see these edges on either side. So I do want to make sure I put a good amount of So we still have, once I finish this leg, hopefully we'll get through it tonight. I still have basically the torso and the back piece to do. And then I've got to figure out the base. Now, I will talk about that a little bit here. So this is the glass piece that came with it. I don't always like to use these, but in this case, it's kind of minimal, so it's not a big deal to me to use it as stability. This goes right in the bottom here. So, and you can see my, this is my magnet wire coming out of the bottom for my LED. That's in the head, or actually in the back of the head here. So what I did is I drilled very tiny holes down the spine of this. So each one of these wires is going to come down and just go right down the spine here, very, very small, and come out the bottom. So when this sits level in the base, they'll go right out through the bottom into the bottom, under the base, and that's where I can put the power supply. So that's the plan with that. That's what my solution was. I was trying to figure out whether to put a battery like in the backpack, or because this mounts just like this. Let's see it get on. So this pops into that ball joint here. So I could have put a battery in here and run the wires up here, but then I would have had to make this, or leave this with the ability to open, so I could. If it just wants to sit like that, so we're just going to leave it. I would have to be able to take the lid off of this to access any kind of battery. So I decided to go down through the spine of that little support rod, and then out the bottom, and put the battery in the bottom of the base. That way I can either put a switch down there. Most likely I won't put a switch. I'll just make a battery holder. I've got battery holders for little 3-volt batteries. Do that, and then when I need to turn it off, and just pull the battery. Use the battery as a switch essentially. So that'll work. Doesn't have to be overly complicated. The hardest part was just feeding those wires through the neck and getting them with that torso piece. I had to put both halves together, and without pinching those wires, making sure they found their way out the bottom all free and everything like that. So Cobra, what is up? That's a sweet idea. Very cool. Modifying the base. Oh, thanks, bud. Thank you. I'll put that on screen real quick for everyone to see, because not everybody can see the comments that I see. Unless you're on YouTube, you'll see his comment. But if you're coming to me from Twitch or Facebook, you won't see it. So I make sure the important ones go on screen. So yeah, I'm going to build, actually, you hadn't heard earlier, the base was too small, so I'm going to put an 8x8. I'm going to build a new base out of, but I'm waiting for some evergreen plastic to show up. You can see, like, this is the base that came with it. Let me go out of Zoom here. I'll go back just to the download so you guys can see the. So this is what I'm going to use, and this is an 8x8 sheet. This was the base that came with it. Significantly smaller. It's almost 2 inches smaller, roughly. It's 6x6, and the thing barely stands on here. The way the legs sit, if you put this this piece in the corner, the feet would barely fit on this. So it just seemed kind of like they could have done a little bit larger. So I decided I'm going to build a new base, but I've got some more of this strip plastic coming from Evergreen. This is roughly 10 millimeters by 5 or so. So I will, when I get more, I'm waiting for another package of this drive. I don't have enough. I will build a frame, structure to make this a nice sturdy base. I bought myself also one of those little hobby miter boxes because I didn't have one, so I can cut the angles and then build an entirely new base for it, a very sturdy one with battery access underneath, and then that way I can swap it out. And it's a single LED, so a 3-volt battery should last a good long time. If it's at a show or something like that, I shouldn't have to. I may change it out. I usually bring extra batteries just in case, and then throughout the day, excuse me, if I need to change out my batteries, especially if it's being judged. I want it to be lit up nice and as bright as it possibly can be while the judges are looking at it. So Cobra, what are you working on, bud? You're a pretty fast builder. I keep seeing, like, it didn't take long to get those two Netflix kits snapped and ready for paint or whatever you're going to do to them. I think the next project I was talking about, talking to a friend of mine, I have an extra 1/4 scale tank from the Ground War set. I used one in a diorama that I used back in 2015 when I almost went to Japan. I got 3rd place in North America at GBWC with my Officer Down demo or diorama. And I was using one of those tanks in that Ground War set, or from the Ground War set, in the diorama with 2 real grade, no, not real grade, the RGs, the real grade Zakus. And so I have one extra that I haven't used, and I can actually pop it out of the cabinet here real quick. Let me just open this up. I'll bring it over. And it's already painted, but again, one of the coolest things I think about the Ground War set and the other set is these little tanks. I mean, they're just amazing. Like I said, this thing's already painted and ready to go. So my idea was to maybe, I think it should turn. Yeah, it's very tight, but it will turn. I even painted the little green windows in there very carefully. So what my idea was to maybe have the Zaku, the I can't remember her name right at the moment, or one of those kicking this little guy. There was a scene in there where Tank is kind of running up behind one of the other Zakus getting ready to take a shot, and then this other one just runs over and just basically kicks him to the uprights. So I thought that might be a good idea. You have this thing kind of flying through the air, and you can, the barrels can be moved independently, so you could easily have them skewed as this thing's flying through the air. You just built the Zaku. Oh, you didn't get to the EX. I thought you did. Maybe I saw. Oh, it was a different RX. Maybe you had him standing next to another one, but you're right. I think it was a different one. So you're working on a Zaku Exceed head. Nice. Which one? There's like 6, isn't there? Which reminds me, I've got to send. There's a package I got to send to George, our friend, Old School Gunpla. He's going to get something special for me. Let's see. I'm working on a PG Exeus masking last armor pieces. I'll put this on screen here. Also, just finished sanding panel lining HD Dom Tropen. Nice. I've got a couple of DOMs. One, actually, that year was it? No, it wasn't that year. It was the following year or whatever. It was 2015 where I got 3rd place. But the year after, Kawaguchi came to the qualifying event at Anime Expo, and so the kits I won, I got 2nd place, I think, in that qualifier. But the kits I won there, I had him sign. So I've got a couple of signed kits from Kawaguchi, which is kind of nice. And I may end up giving those away, giving one of them away or something like that in a raffle prize or something like that. We'll see. I've already hit 5,000 on Facebook. So now I'm just trying to boost trying to get the YouTube channel going more. It's a little bit harder to get the subscribers there, a little bit more, exposure. But YouTube is a little more forgiving when it comes to some of their policies and things that things you can and can't do that demonetize your. I mean, Facebook is really kind of ridiculously strict on, like, you can't even say a bad word or something like that, or if I've got a glass of wine on the desk or something like that, it's like, nope, you're drinking alcohol, you can't do that. You don't follow the policies, you don't get monetized. It's just like, okay, sorry guys, I'm not. I told you my channel's not for kids. I mean, that's one of the things I say, even though kids are probably perfectly fine watching it, but occasionally, we drop an F-bomb or something like that, and that's the reason why I say it's not for kids, just to kind of keep it in that, in that realm. But as it is, sometimes they just don't. Don's Island version. Oh, nice. Is that the black one, or is it like a dark blue? I don't remember. Sorry, Cobra. I'm not that knowledgeable on the names of the other ones. You had a very old GTO XG next to it. Oh, that's right. This is what he had next to the Zaku. Very cool. Let's see. Julia says, I wonder if Bandai will re-release the UC Hardgraph line model kits because it seems that there were a few Easter eggs for the kits. Gundam Requiem Vengeance. Oh, yeah. I know some of the tanks and stuff were really. That's what caught a lot of people by surprise. I think everybody enjoyed that. Yeah, that is true. So, yeah, I'm just hoping to use this little guy. Like I said, I already got decals on it and kind of weathered it a little bit. I could weather it some more if need be. But, yeah, I think it'll be nice. A nice little addition to at that scale of 144. And the Zaku set has 2 hover tanks in it. So you really get those little bonuses when you buy those sets. The Ground War set has the 2 main battle tanks, and then the Zaku set has or what? Am I doing the other way around? Oh wait, no, it's I don't know. I have to pull the boxes back out. But anyway, one of them comes with the Ground War set comes with 2 main battle tanks, and the other set comes with 2 hover tanks. So you get those both 144 scale. So it's really kind of cool. All right, softening that up. Again, I got to make sure that I'm doing these streaking lines. They're following the same footprint here. So as we put this down, I'm going to go with this angle, using this foot as a base here, because this is the one that's that's flat, so I can see my right angles here and go basically just like that. The Duns is the battle damage. Oh, okay. GTM. Oh, all right. So is that kind of like the Ramaral set, where you have the choice of doing it in damaged or not damaged or something like that? Because I have the Ramaral set as well. It comes with a lot of figures and such. But I think the scale is also 135. Even though it doesn't specify, I'm pretty sure it's 135th scale. And you can actually build that if you want it damaged or fully assembled. You can do both, without damage or whatever. It kind of gives you the options with some of the tubing parts, the power cables, things like that. So I'm just hitting these little chips where I put rock chips. I'm just trying to follow those with some of that those streaking effects, and then softening up. You'll see me flip this over a couple times because I'll use one side as my main applicator, and then the other one is more of my softening piece. So I'm not taking any fresh pigment off of the pad. I'm just blending those other lines that are already down. Come on, focus. Stay in place. There we go. And that was one of the, let's see here. Let me put this back on the screen, make it easier for everybody to see. That was one of the Gashapon items you could get when the movie was coming out. Oh, okay. I would love to get an actual 135th Zaku head at some point. Well, let me pull the Ramaral set out. Now we're talking about it. Let me see. I think that's 135. We'll find out right now. And let's see right here. Yes, I am correct. Okay, so now we're on the subject. I'm going to go back to this view just because. So this is the Ramaral set, command set, UC hard graph. It is in 135th scale, so everything you see on the box is what you get. You get a few Zeon figures. You've got some big expended shells, Zaku rounds or whatever you want to call it. Those are also in here. These are the expended brass. Nice set of water slides. But you have a 135th scale Zaku head. There's the top. Excuse me. There's the top right there. And then this is an entire runner of nothing but the energy cables. So, I've seen people do this in both fully assembled and damaged or destroyed versions on the ground. There are a few figures in here as well, and the motorcycle. Everything you see, like I said, on the artwork there. So you got a guy on a motorcycle. Everything you see there. So yeah, you want a 135th scale, get this one. It's kind of hard to find, but I think you can. You'll probably be able to find one somewhere. So here's another view of what you get with it. This is on the side panel. So that's a fully functional assembled Zaku head without the outer armor on it. But if you look at some of the other ideas here, so like this damaged, cables hanging out, glass jacked up, that kind of thing, like right here. Either one of these setups you can do. Yeah, it's a pretty cool set. I recommend it if it's one of those, it might even be a few people's holy grail kind of kits that, they're kind of hard to find. So Yes, it's 135th. Yes, Land Rover wants 3,600 for a small dent on the door of my SUV. Sorry, Giovanni, it's Land Rover, man. It's a luxury brand. You're going to pay through the nose for that kind of crap. Trust me, I used to work for Lexus for like 11 years. Your SUV, yeah, I get it. Yeah, Cobra, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like it too. It's probably pretty close to an Exceed size head. So if you have the Exceed heads, those are pretty close to 135th, if not exactly the same size. So if you don't find the Ramborel set, at least you can use those if you want. You know, you can use the Exceed heads and kind of get away with it. I'm pretty sure they're very close to the same scale, but you got a 135th Core Fighter. Yeah, so do I. Oh, and a hover bike. Oh, nice. That's probably pretty cool. Because you do see one of those in the series just for a brief second, kind of get up and scoot off screen. But one of those little hover cycles is in there as well, which I thought was kind of neat. Okay, so we're at 7 o'clock. Let me go back down to the close-up view, and we'll keep working on this leg. All right, where's my piece? Oh, here it is. All right, so I have most of this lower done, so I'm going to, for the time being, I'm going to put this back on. So now I can kind of see, oops, I got a little bit more to do on this now. I just realized there's a bunch in the back here I didn't do. So I can see and make sure the two pieces look okay together. I want to make sure they're not, you know, one's done more than the other. I want to make sure they kind of blend well together. That's important. It's important to make sure that, you know, one piece isn't too dark and the other one's too light. So you put them both together and you can see, make sure that you get the same amount of weathering on this stuff. All right, so just pop those two together. Actually, I got a little bit more right in the back here. This is an area I forgot was exposed. It looked like it was going to be covered up, but it's not. You can see it back. Okay, one last time. There. All right, so we're almost done. I still got the heel here to do and the foot, but I got most of the, and if you put them side by side, they're looking pretty good, pretty close together as far as the amount of color. So I'm just going to go over these edges and get this heel portion finished up. That might run us right into the end of the show tonight. So I'll just keep going. So you see a lot of times I use the edge of the applicator just for those thinner streaking lines. I use the majority of the pad if I'm trying to blend something or do an edge. But like I said, these are coming at angles, so I just basically put a little bit on there, put it on the surface, and then go back over it and blend it out, so it's not such a stark line, just like that. A little goes a long way. It's a good thing to think about. Just, you can always add a little more. You just can't. It's easier to add more than it is to try to take it back off. But through my own trial and error, I've discovered that you can take it off if need be. If you do accidentally get a little too much on there, you can take it back off with that enamel thinner. Or at least tone it down to the point where you can make it and it doesn't look like, it doesn't look like a huge mistake. You'll still see a little bit of that color there, just slightly, but more of a shadow than anything else. And a lot of times when I'm doing a larger scale kit or something, I'll use a combination of this type of, the pastels, probably some enamel, stringing effects from AK, other things like that. I'll use a lot of combinations like that just to, especially like when I did the Maquet build. I used a lot, several different items. Like most, this was like the last thing I put on to complete the weathering was these pastels, but a lot of the stringing effects were done with enamels, enamel stringing effects from AK. But this one, because of the scale, I don't really have to use a lot of those other products. I've got enough tone variances to get what I need or get what I want to see just with this. So I'm only using, doing some hand painted chipping a little bit, and then finishing it off with these. So now these are done. I can bring those spikes back down. I still got to do the foot, just a little bit around these edges of the foot. I think that's all the way down. Okay. Got to head out for dinner. Okay, the Rex is looking good. Excited to see the rest of it. Thanks, Cover. All right, have a great dinner. Thanks for stopping in. I really do appreciate you. Say hi to wife or whoever you're going to dinner with. I'll catch you next time. It's probably been gone for a bit. I missed that message right away. That was about 4 minutes ago. Had my head down over here. Really like the way these blend, especially on edges. I did a lot of this too with I did the resin tomahawk build. It was a nice way to add grime, and I used oil stain then too, because it works well with the flat paints. It kind of doesn't necessarily look like an oil stain. It just looks like grime, and that's exactly what you want. Okay. Not there. All right. I think I'm done with this leg almost. I may do a little. I've got some. One of these kits has some silver in it. I think. Oh, I think it's over here. Yeah, this. Yeah. Set C has gunmetal, some orange rust, and silver. I'll try. I might use the silver. I might not, but I might. These are like some spikes here on the front of the foot. I may end up doing a little bit of either chipping on those or put a little bit of that silver Tamiya on there just to kind of give it a little bit of. So that goes right in there. I didn't want to touch that. Yeah, it's all right. Okay, so now with the foot flat, that will sit just like that. And I think all my streaking effects look nice. They're all in the same direction. Looks pretty good. So set this here. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. Set that down. I just want to make sure, yeah, these are on. Especially when you're doing this, multiple days. Sometimes you can go. It might be easier, or you might go a little heavy one day and a little light the next day. So it's important to go back and compare left to right. Make sure that you're using the same. You put the same saturation of color on these. It looks pretty good so far. I think we're okay. So if I put these side by side, and we'll take this shield because this one goes on this leg. So pop that on. And then if we are to put these, actually put them front to back like this. There you go. Pretty even. Yeah, both of them look really good. They're side by side, fairly, very even. There's the same amount of dirty as hell. Well, that's good. That's what I'm going for. It's supposed to be dirty. It's a tank, right? It's a walking tank. So it's important to see these side by side. That's why I like, make sure that you get the same amount of color. I don't have to make any adjustments. I don't have to take anything off or add anything to another one. They both look pretty much the same. Let me flip these over so you guys can see them right side up on your screen. So there we go. Tell me what you think. Looks great. Thank you, Angel. Appreciate that. Just had some yummy trout. Yeah, you did. Some fresh fish. Nothing like it. You go fishing. What to do? So the next thing up is the backpack. I think I'm going to save the torso for last because I think that's going to be the most challenging, just based on all the little, like the wiring that I've got hanging off here. I've got to make sure that doesn't get damaged, and everything kind of moves around. The head goes up and down. I did leave enough slack in the wires going through the neck, so nothing's going to get pulled. So, but I think this piece will probably be the most challenging, just to kind of. So I'm going to leave it for last. I think I want to probably start on this. Yeah, I think we're good to go on this. We'll start on the bottom here. So this is a little pivot point. It's probably going to stay down like this. If it pivots up, it would. I don't really know why you would want to do that, unless you're talking about maybe pointing the gun up, because this mounts on this side like that. So there will be some flexible in and out. I had to pin the ball joint because the ball joint that goes into this side of it was so tight from the paint, it actually tried to break off on me, so I had to repin it. So there'll be a little bit of adjustment this way, and then it also swivels in and out. So I may have it slightly swiveled outward, but I'm not going to be, trying to take out aircraft or anything. It's not going to be pointing at the sky, in other words. So in the meantime, I'm just going to start on the bottom here. Start working my way up. Since this, this is the kind of the underbelly, it's going to be a little more kind of like looking like the bottom of the Millennium Falcon, just where all the dirt kind of comes underneath and kind of collects on these areas. So I need my tweezers here. I got a stray. It's a lint. It's definitely show up when you're doing your clear coats. Like if you got a piece of lint or something, you start doing a flat coat, all of a sudden you see these hairs light up. Just because of the flat coat will kind of start kind of giving it a hazy coat to it, and it'll show up a little easier. So once in a while I'll see those little hairs and go, oh, gotta get rid of that. It's best to try to get them when you're doing your clear coats, but sometimes you can't see them until later. So Might be important to note. There was a seam. In fact, you can see part of it here, that this is an intentional seam, but this will be down into that back piece, so it's not going to be seen. But there was a seam on here and along the back, and I just took some styrene strip, and actually cut some pieces off to fit in there and cover up that seam. So rather than having to try to fix a complex seam, it was just easier to put some strip over it and cover it up. Turn them into panel lines. All right, I'm going to close that. So this will remain in this position. Okay. So I'm going to do the same concept. I'm just going to go, start with some of these edges, just kind of giving me some darker corners. Just kind of making it look grimy. It's actually a panel line right down the middle here, so I'm going to just kind of light that up a little bit. I'll take this opportunity here to run some streaking down. Because again, these, if rain or anything comes down, it's going to kind of run down these undersides and create that grimy look underneath. So as I said earlier in the show, I think next week's broadcast is going to be on Tuesday. So plan accordingly. I will create the live streams. So as soon as I know what we'll be doing, depending on where I'm at with this build, I may be waiting for that styrene to show up for the base. So what I may end up doing next week is just working on those two kits, or starting one of the two, I should say, from the Netflix series. So I'll probably start the Zaku, being that's the one I want to use, with the tank for the most part. I'm trying to figure out a way. It depends on how much space, how big a vignette I want to make, or diorama, to try to have both the Zaku and the EX in the on the same scene. But it depends on how much room I've got. If I don't have enough. Definitely have the Zaku because that's the star. I want to have that and the tank. But we'll see. Maybe I can put him in the background. Kind of getting pissed that his Fetty brothers just got kicked like a football. So that's the plan. I don't know if it's going to work. That's the idea I had in my head to try to recreate that, but we'll see. I may have to come up with something else. If I can't get the posing right, I don't know how well the posing is yet on the Zaku, whether or not I can, create that kind of pose that looks believable without doing any, extensive modifications, obviously. But we'll see. We'll see. Once I get it together, we'll see how the articulation is and how well it can be posed, and whether or not I can make it look like he's or she, whatever, believably getting punted across the room. So definitely going to have some streaking going down these areas off the back. Yeah, I like it. I like that a lot. Okay. Where are we at? 722, getting close, guys. I'm going to probably finish up the bottom here. Maybe get close to finishing up just the bottom here, but we'll have to finish later on in the week. Okay, I'll pull that down just a little bit. It's just easier to get into some of these little grooves with sucker out of the way. I really don't know why, other than maybe trying to angle the gun up, or there's really no reason to have that thing sticking up. All right. So we got a little bit here. I'm going to see how the Holstein covers these grills here. I may end up going to the soot just to see. I want to dirty those up a little bit. So let's pull this kit over. This is kit B. Let's see if I've got, actually I'll just use a new one. So I'm going to use just a little bit of the soot here just to give it a darker. I want to tone down these copper pieces, which I think that looks way better. Occasionally you get dust off of these when you're doing them, so you have to blow the dust off every now and then. It is like a makeup applicator, so you get little dusty particles and things. So yeah, that looks nicer. It just kind of darkens up that copper a little bit. It's shiny. It still has a little bit of metallic look to it, but it's actually a lot duller than it looks on camera. The camera is doing pretty good, but it is a little bit grayer or darker gray than it is. Like if you look at this side, See how shiny that is? You flip it over. So I toned it down quite a bit. We'll do the same on this side. Trying to get into that corner right there. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that looks way better. It just gives, it still has that shiny metallic look to it, but it's quite a bit toned down quite a bit, I should say. All right, folks, we're going to call this one session. I'm going to clean things up a little bit here. So, like I said, I got to finish the back, and then I'll do the head and kind of the torso section, I guess. And then it's ready to snap it all together. I still have to finish the base, so I won't put the wiring down into this piece yet until I have the position where I'm going to drill the hole and run the wires through the base, because then I'll just do it all at once. It really won't stand on its own. Actually, I could probably take this bottom piece off and just install this last, since the holes kind of go out the bottom of this anyway. So I may stick this in the bottom, assemble the whole kit, just kind of have it sitting there with the wires going down the spine here, and then when it comes time to install it, I can just run the wires through there and stick that piece on and call it a day. What's up, hamster? Malicious worm appeared. What do you do? A malicious worm appeared. What do you do? I guess I'll step on it. I don't know. Didn't know it was going to be a test at the end of the program here. So we'll go back to this view here. So we got all the parts, everything here. Here's my little 144 scale tank. We're not using that on this diorama, but, or vignette, or whatever you want to call it. But we will be using the liquid snake, I think is liquid snake or solid. I can't remember which one it is. And we use one figure out of the resin figures here that I'll paint and probably stand him in front of it, and then do a nice pose, whatever. But I still got to wait for the styrene to show up so I can do the base. So if don't get here, which I don't think they will, next week will probably be we'll just be starting to snap those one of the two Netflix kits for that project. So let's go here. All right, boys and girls, thanks again for everybody. I appreciate you guys coming in as always. Tell your friends, smash that like button, hit the bell if you need it, especially because that'll tell you exactly when I'm online every week. Can you slip a clear tube over it? Maybe. I don't know. I hadn't thought of it, but I don't think I need to, but I guess I could. Could snap a clear tube. I don't know. I'll measure it and see if we got anything we can find. But good question, Angel. So, excuse me. Throat's a little dry. With that, I love each and every one of you. Thanks again for coming out each and every week and hanging out and building alongside me. So we'll talk to you next week. Again, tell your friends. Visit the Amazon store if you need to. Same name. There's a lot of items on there. Stuff I use every day in this hobby. You can get it all there. But let's night all. See you later, Angel. And we'll go back through the list here. Cobra, he's already gone. Thanks again, Julius. Thank you so much, Giovanni. Again, thank you. Let's see who else we missing. Nick. Nick is in there. Good to see you again. Thank you again. And Big Ton, thank you as well. Michael, thank you. Going through the list, make sure I don't miss anybody. I think that's it. And Tyler, of course. Thank you, Tyler. And yeah, and Julius was the first one in tonight. I think it's competition now to see who gets in first in the chat. So anyway, we'll see you next time, guys. See you on the flip, right? Next Tuesday, not Wednesday. Next week will be Tuesday. So don't miss it. And we will